Hey friends, it's been a while since I did this. Just go live for a chit chat. Come inside. How's that any better? Is that better? You can hear me now? Can hear me now? Take away the biggest part of me. I tell you what, I was listening to a video today while I was painting, and it's a mirrored video that Russian vids threw down. I think UAP, or it's a voice I recognize, but I'm not sure who did the original video, but it's a transvestigation video, and blow me, I have to say, I looked at those pictures of the Spice Girls again and realized they are probably dudes. They're probably dudes. Now, obviously, being a bloke and stuff like that. I even saw Ginger Spice live one time in Hyde Park. And, I was a bit fruity about Ginger Spice, I have to be honest. I mean, yeah. Anyway, so that's blew my cogs today, actually. Blew my cogs. I mean, I look at those pictures again of those females, and I'm like, yeah, they have a certain profile, don't they? That stunned me. I mean, obviously we know that so much of our stuff is a deception, but that was clever. But it got me to thinking about David Beckham, because the Victoria Spice and David Beckham romance and stuff like that was big news in the UK all those years ago when it was happening. And I mean, there's some interesting things about David Beckham. I mean, he looks pretty blokish to me, so I'm not saying he's not a bloke, and I'm not looking to offend his fans, because I'm sure, just like the Spice Girl thing, there'll be people that are raging at the suggestion that they're not what they purport to be. And of course, if you ever saw the movie Bend It Like Beckham, you'll know that they got a girl in this movie called Bend It Like Beckham. It's a football reference, or soccer if you're an American person, American ear. Soccer mom. You hear that? But he played for LA Galaxy, and he liked the number 23. Quite esoteric. He played number 7 when he was Manchester United. Yeah, just a slight guy, actually. I mean, I think he's probably 6 foot, maybe he's 6 foot, I don't know. But quite a slight guy, and not particularly big, but oh man, I might be mistaken, when you think about the guy. But it does mean that if Victoria Beckham is a dude, then he's covering up something. And given the amount at which they're putting these switcheroos on us, I have to ask the question: is David Beckham actually a girl? And anything is possible. But I've not done any investigation. I'm just posing the question, because it's just like a logical next step to, oh my god, the Spice Girls. I can get the Jennifer Aniston thing. Possible, and some of the others, but that is, wow, rub it in your face, hey? So, and they hung out with Nelson Mandela. So I wonder if he would have known that, or you'd think they must be all in on some kind of thing on that. Anyway, this is not my subject, but I just wanted to throw that suggestion out there, the possibility of that. I guess I've been painting on my own all day today, and no one to talk to. And I came home hoping to be able to hang out with Alexander, but because he's not like used to me not being around at least some of the day, and I'm painting all day at the moment. He hasn't slept like he normally does during the day, so now he's tired and he's gone off to bed. It's 6 o'clock. Almost. Did you guys see the eclipse? Partial eclipse of the moon last night? I assume it's only certain places that got to see that, but it was beautiful. I put a little video up, perhaps you've seen it. And I watched it a few bits, a bit longer, a bit more during the course of the evening, and it just rolled beautifully across the sky. And actually, my experience was that the dark shadow rolled in the way that the moon rolls. Yeah. So I saw that. I saw it sort of be here, where my fingers are was the dark area, and then it kind of rolled like that, which mimics like a reddish, orangey. I mean, it we're told that it's, I guess we're told that it's something that it was Rahu or Ketu. I don't know which works with which, and if they're real. There are some other theories. I have this hosepipe theory. I don't know if I've spoken about this before, but if you imagine the center vortex of a basin, the water going down the basin, right? Well, that vortex will like twist like this, won't it? As it kind of turns, and I think there's a possibility. See how let me see if I can line this up. See how you can kind of see my eye, but if I do that, then you lose some of it. And I think that it's just a theory that it's like a hose pipe. So we're looking up at electromagnetic toroidal hose pipe, and that sometimes covers itself simply by the nature of the gradation of the angle at which it's shown to us like that. So of course I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm just throwing that out there as just something I've thought about. If you look up a hose pipe with at home, if you've got a section, I cut a section of hose pipe some end of last year, but you'll know my Trinity Taurus model, my triple Taurus model didn't go down very well in the brief viewing it had on the sun and moon. But I was going to show a hose pipe during that thing where if you take a section of hose pipe in the light and you bend it just right, then you can start to get this kind of covering of the moon. Call it a eclipse, just some of the light. Anyway, that's all an aside. I see there's a few people coming to join me, which is nice. Thank you. I should get my glasses. That would help. Damn. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to find my glasses because I'm not able to read this at the moment. That's the truth. I am tired, but let me see if I make it brighter, if that helps. Oh, yeah. It does help, yeah. Hey, Ricardo. Thanks for your kind comments about Sunday's activism. I learned lessons on Sunday's activism, by the way, at the Speaker's Corner. I spent too long talking to Danny Shine, for example, who was pontificating over the merits of euthanasia, basically, or culling the human population. Not violently. I'm sure he would hate for me to suggest that he was talking about some sort of violent thing. I'm not quite sure how you go about it, though. But, oh, that's right, too. He wants a political party that bans reproduction. I think it's a little tongue-in-cheek, but he makes the mistake that so many people do nowadays, which is that it's just humans are so dreadful, rancid, wasteful, damageful. That's what they say. People like them. And my father would say that humans just war, and most people say, oh, humans just war. We're just awful beasts. And, I know that we've been brought low. But I'm not someone who's giving up on people. I'm not giving up on humanity, on the journey, on the potentiality of us to reach our Christ-like potential, or our. Am I arguing that everybody must get there? I don't know that that's what's necessary. I don't think that's what's necessary, because you've got to have people in certain positions and certain places. I think I've said this before. On the yellow brick road to the mission end, there are attractions, baubles, and excitements, and these excitements need to be staffed. They need to be, it may even be like just the horribleness of the greed aspect of this system. It may even be that that's just one of the aspects of this, is that there's this potential for you to become exceptionally wealthy and just have gold taps and spunk money in oodles whilst other people starve. That possibility is just it's just part of the yin and the yang, and the push and the pull, and the positive and the negative of this electrical system. But for some, perhaps it's more a case of find a neutral path, step away from the excitements and the detriments, find that higher path and higher way, and actually, to find that higher way, you may come to realize that you can't be tempted to be drawn back into the dialectic, positive or negative. Don't you think? So that's what feels like right to me, is that I shouldn't be drawn back into choosing sides, taking sides, and so on. I've said this a few times. The phrase is, you choose. Well, I often say, you choose, we lose. So it's in you choosing one team over the other. I was talking about teams on Sunday, wasn't I? If you heard any of that. But if you choose one team over the other, then you're in the game. You've been drawn in. I don't say that it means you lose. I'm not saying that means you're a loser for doing that. But I think that there are people who are the positive, and there are people who are the negative, and then there are people who are to take the neutral. And if you don't like it, that's fine by me. It may be that you're better suited to the positive or the negative aspects of this. However, my message, it seems to me, is to say there's that neutral way. And finding that neutral way is what I'm seeking to do. And by extension, I hope that I'm following others of good standing, and I encourage others to be of good standing and follow a similar kind of journey of self-discovery. Up on live, honey. So if you'll give me like 10 minutes just to natter here with some people.
You can have as long as you like. You know what?
What, darling?
I can just chillax for a little
Yeah. Oh, what's the chances I might get a coffee, honey? I just had such a long day at the office. Hey, Luki.
Hi.
I'm just doing a little live here, so...
Sorry.
No, it's all right. That's all right. I'm just going to push on.
Okay.
People are kindly waiting for me to return to thinking about the stuff I was talking about.
There's some great energies around for all the shifts that you're talking about.
Yeah. Don't know if you heard that. Andrea was saying there's some great energies around for the shifting of the heart, I suppose, or the shifting. She looks into the astrological aspects of things much more than I do. I don't have quite the same appetite for it as she does, and I'm grateful because she's able to, you know, see things on the flat perspective, on a understand perspective, and bring that astrological thinking to me, and it adds to my own consideration, and oftentimes it mirrors how you are feeling. Like, oh my, I'm feeling crappy today. Thank you, honey.
We're talking about the energies.
Yeah. Cheers, guys.
The next 6 months are important.
Oh, she reminded me the next 6 months are important. That takes us into January 2020. There are apparently some exciting things coming in 2020. If my mate Martin Kenny is correct, and others, there's significant shifts possibly underway. The best that I can do with regards to that type of information is to know that I'm preparing my own ark up here. The Ark of the Covenant, my friends, is I think behind your eyes, and so I'm not saying I wouldn't stash a bit of food in the event of some such thing that I survive and I need to, but I've also been doing, like preparing Alexander. He's so comfortable out in the forest, and we can pick food and stuff like that. We already do that. So, I'm not like just sitting on the sofa and waiting for something possibly to happen, but nor am I fearful of whatever's coming. But it does inspire one to continue the work of self-growth. The very worst case scenario, there's a changeover, there's a moment, a vibration shift, and that brings about an ending to everything that we know as it is, and our 3D material existence. But then, that would have been decreed and important. The other part of that is that where are you, soul and mind, or body, or soul, spirit? Where are you when that happens? I don't know that you need to be somewhere geographic, but equally, I leave that on the table, star forts and ley lines and center poles, north poles, and so on. I leave that on the table as possibilities. But I think if the creation, or this creation intended for us to be somewhere other than where we are now, that is working on ourselves, knowing ourselves, getting within, going within, all that. If we were meant to be somewhere else, we would be enabled to be there, were that to be necessary, were that to be required. Where you are right now might be exactly where you're meant to be. And if you were, and if you are there, which you probably are, where you're meant to be, you're meant to be, possibly meant to be, doing the work on yourself, taking the time to work on yourself. Like, let's just say I decided that, honey, we have to get to South America. Now, in order to do that, we're going to have to, I'm going to have to go and work 16 hours a day and do X and Y and absolutely drain myself, have no time for self-work. And then I would suggest that I was being led up the garden path, because this might be the time for you to do the work on yourself, not to work on, you know, packing shelves for less than £10 an hour in order to get out to South America. So that's just a little bit of my thoughts. I that spun off the Danny Shine thing. He's his just by the way, his channel is called Social Experimentalist, and uh, I was just thinking, wow, I had a lot of people come and watch, just even if it was briefly, come and step in on there, over 1,000 people, which for me was a milestone. Um, but Danny Shine is, someone I watched 4 or 5 years ago, and in between, I've definitely watched him in between because I like the way he sticks it to the authorities and to the big business and so on, social experimentalist.
Sorry,
But
go.
but I lost touch with Danny. I've seen that advert.
Delivery advert.
Oh my god, Delivery is also doing a Spaceman advert.
Yeah.
Just show the camera. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? That's a Spaceman on a delivery advert. I was forced to because I was listening to music today on YouTube while I was working. They keep throwing double adverts at me, and they were like not a Heineken advert or something, or and a dude in a spacesuit. So they really, really, because it's the 50-year Apollo thing, right? Which is kind of why I was trying to do the NASA stuff on Sunday. I'll go back this weekend, I reckon, and do another NASA special. I might have a friend with me. Some might know George from Spain. Sorry, Howard from Spain. And he, I think, and I will do, and others, hopefully, we'll do a little bit of a NASA special on Sunday. But yeah, I was getting hit by adverts today, left, right, and center with space programming. That's a conundrum. I think Andrea just threw me off my stride there. What was I talking about?
Sorry. We were talking about that guy that you saw on.
Social experimentalist. Yeah, Danny puts it to the system. But because I spoke to him about flat Earth a year ago, and he said to me, I'm scared to touch that one actually, and so he remembered me actually before I went live. He was like, yeah, I remember you, and but I never drew him back to talking about flat Earth. So I'm sorry about that for those watching that. It would have been like watching paint dry, listening to him talk crap about euthanasia, how awful humans are. I mean, look around, and I kind of get where he's coming from, but the potential, it's like, as I always say, put 10 dogs in a cage and give them 5 dogs food. It won't be long before there's hierarchy, and well, there's a hierarchy, but they're eating each other. They're vermin or feral. I had a few other really good encounters on Sunday. And something that really, really struck me was I was talking to these two dudes, and this other dude comes up to me, and I don't remember ever seeing him before, but he shakes my hand and says, "You're a really good man, Muslim guy, quite devout, very devout Muslim now. 3 years ago, he was like a gangster rapper type of dude. Now he's a proper, God-fearing Muslim. But he's like, you should go around talking to people of different, around the world, talking to people of different kind of ethnicities and stuff like that, because, well, I guess because of the way I can connect to folk. I've always had this way of connecting to folk. You may not like me out there. You may be one of those people who's giving me the thumbs down and think, you're an arrogant twat. That's fine. But when it comes to meeting people, as long as I'm not obviously like in a bad way, then I do really well with people from all sorts of backgrounds. And I knew that as a youngster, because in South Africa we were very segmented by skin tone, and And wherever I found myself making friends with people of all different hues. Um, and you see, I'm not choosing a side. I want for everyone to win. I don't want to choose a side. So I'm not, you know what I mean? Something else that struck me was they pointed to this black dude, this black Christian dude. And they're like, this black guy hates us Muslims, which was quite a remarkable thing to think about because, there is this kind of tendency to think in terms of coloring shades, so if it's, people are like anti the white skin, and then so people are browner skin are more kind of together, and but that's gets set aside when there's things like religion. Of course, we know about the Hebrew Israelites and how they feel about white skin. But to this guy, was an older man, proper Christian dude, saying his piece. But the fear in the Muslim thing. Now, these are people that we need to talk to. These are people that we need to reach. I think. Shit. Anyway, I had a good time on Sunday, and I'm really thankful that a bunch of people got to see it. So there's been some comments, more than I expected. Um, what's up, Dave? It's Conrado. Wow, there's 30 people watching. That's a surprise to me as well. Okay. Have my eyes gone off on me? Look at the throat. Oh, look at the throat. That's to do with David Beckham. Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. Yeah. That conversation happened so long ago. Yeah. Like, hi Squirrel, how you doing, mate? I've been liking your. Is it Ebb's brother? I've been liking your comments for it. Remember Branson saying people would be going to the moon by 2016? Oh Lord! And then you'd say that back to space lovers, the acolytes of the NASA and so on. You say, hey, so Branson, the richest people, the billionaires, the people who have more money now than NASA had then, and 50 years of technological progress and computing power that's in the order magnitude of millions of times more powerful. We can't pull it off today. Not even a little visit for the weekend, up into some high orbit. And they just look at you blankly. They're just churning through their mind to find the explanation for that. There's a reasonable explanation for that. And the last one I'll get to is because they don't need to. So what? Why? So, it's funny. Um, yeah. And you start to wonder whether, oh, it's not even a wonder anymore. It's more, I'm fairly sure that they're showing the mistakes. They want the mistakes out there. They want people to see this. They want us to come. And I don't mean like an Area 51, Storm Area 51, which I've heard a few people talk to me, people who are not even my son, the older one. Um, they want people to, they want us to come. They want this to happen. I mean, if you think about it, like for those people who say that Mark Sargent, Patricia Steer, and the others, and I don't want to name people that I can't be sure are the others, but Sargent and Steer are obviously, you know, they're kind of like, it seems, paid to be here. They're paid to tell us. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because we need to know. But it's like a why thing. Why are they telling us? And why do they want us to know? And why do they want? I start to wonder. I even had a Russian vid, someone who I learnt about false flags from years ago, and was of those people that I was listening to, Dabu7 and la la la. I can't even remember the names anymore. That one who went and worked with Alex Jones, Paul Joseph Watson. N- None of them went to Flat Earth, but Russian Vids was straight in there, and it was like, damn, this guy's for real, man. And so he's like a sort of hero of mine, and he's given me props the other day. Great work, Harry. Me and Harry, great work, and of course credit to all the other people that are out there doing the activism. It's so important. But you wonder whether it's you're still doing the work of the system. You're doing that work. But I welcome it. Truth is, I welcome it. I welcome the opportunity to wake people or alert people or knock on the door and say, hey, there's some red pills here if you want them. Because truthfully, I would not be seeking a higher self. I would not be working on a higher self had it not been for this stuff. So maybe it's time for us to rethink a little bit about you know, being angry or pissed off or whatever with the people that have been set up, put out to tell us this stuff, wake us up. Even an actonaut like Tim Peake, for example, part of his debrief, his intel kind of information might be like, this is what's happening, this is the story. We live in some kind of crazy, uh, you know, reality we found ourselves in, and we are letting people know, but we have to let the rope out slowly. Or it's not even about that. It's about we let the rope out so that some people find out, so that those people take the middle way, that they know there's a middle way. I don't know. I'm not looking to cozy up. Don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm trying to do here. But because you know, I want to help mankind ascend. That's what I want to do. And I've got my own work to do, but I also have this other work to do. This awake making work. And there are many others who were there before me and others who will come after me. But obviously there's going to be those special interest groups who have always held sway, who have always seen the tsunami long before it's coming and have set their stall out so that their actors have, a really good toehold in the in things. And you know it's likely the case, you could argue, that there's that kind of negative and positive polarity and energy going on. So you have to allow for that to be, because it's a yin yang system. Battery needs a positive and a negative. So my thinking is like, why fight that? Why fight the positive and negative? Acknowledge it, see it, call it out. Call it out. Don't fear it. You know, taste it if you will. And of course, we are all drawn in. Have we not all been drawn in? Is there any of us that has not been drawn in unwittingly to this insane version of reality? And we've gone along with cheering for the Spice Girls, who might be boys.
Maybe that's the point, though.
Well, chiming in from the peanut gallery. What was that, honey?
So we're coming here programmed with the 3D matrix, and the point
Yeah, Andrea says the point. We come here programmed for this matrix, but the game is
The awakening is
to find your way out. So I'm saying now there's a positive and a negative aspect to this. Don't cry into your distilled water about it. Just see it, say it, and sort it. That's a catchphrase that the bloody transport police are trying to frighten passengers every time they go on a train. They have to hear, if you see anything suspicious, say it, see it, sort it. And they want to remind you that we're under threat from Islamic terrorism. When I arrived here in 1988 was the first time I was here as a sort of adult post the army. They were still having the old Irish IRA affair, and frightening us with the potential of IRA bombs. Now, of course, it's a different group. So, but to see this system for what it is, and not be sucked in by its tentacles, not be held in here. I think this is our trick. This is our challenge, and we live in a time, and we're so blessed, or so. I guess it was meant, but we live in a time in which the information is now available for us to kind of to ascend in that knowledge, to do something with it. So I guess I'm just talking as I go, I suppose. But I'm just saying, this is that. This is that time. Maybe it's 2020. This is that moment when you either disengage from the, or you stay connected, and it doesn't matter whether you're the guy next door, just watching his Formula One at the weekend, and has no idea about any of this. But if you're staying in some kind of echo chamber that's super angry or super whatever, drawn into one of these many, many little groups. Can I say vaccines? Do you remember me using that word before? Vaccines. So hopefully the algorithms don't pick up on that, but that might be your chat group or any of the things. Geoengineering, all of the stuff that's going on around us, the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, all that, which is probably very surface level when it comes to some of the weirdest stuff that goes on. Yeah, so yeah, I guess that's my kind of, that came out of nowhere really. I wasn't planning to say that, but that's what I think. I think there's a middle way, and you can choose to find that middle way and work on yourself in that way, or not. I choose to. So let me go back to the commentaries. I can read that. Did I miss a few comments? Yeah. Oh, so did you hear me say if you're later coming to this? I was saying what a beautiful moon it was last night, the eclipse. No, I was saying about the possibility about David Beckham being actually a female, because he is actually quite a slight guy. So having, perhaps, I don't know, just because of the, he married Victoria Spice Girl, and her name was Adams before it became Beckham, but Adams. That's a boy's name, Adam. Wow. Anyway, if that's the case, then either he likes the transsexual, or he was himself transsexual, and it was just part of the ruse. And I guess the point is anyway that that's interesting to me. It's not going to cause me to spill my cereal. Yes, I was just shocked when I heard that. And I looked at some of the pictures. I'm like, yeah, man, they look like dudes now. They do look like dudes to me when I look at them now. Obviously, they get all this like, surgery done all over the place. There's no limits on what they can do. And Simon Cowell's their handler. Maybe he was a girl. He does wear his trousers super high. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. Oh my lord! But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And I think that's the kind of thing. It's interesting and it's fascinating to see what's going on around us. And if there's a reveal happening, then this is kind of part of that. That these things are going to come to light. In the end of times, all things will be known. So they say. Why can't I read this as well as I could earlier on? Damn. The eyes are obviously getting tired today. We were up early this morning, weren't we, darling? Yeah. Hi, Bringle. JC. All of us are perfect. Realize. I've been listening to someone recently, Quantum of Conscience, Matt, and I think it's him or someone else saying, that nature isn't perfect, actually. And there is perfection. There's no doubt that there's perfection, and the beauty of the roses and stuff like that are just staggering when you stop to really take them in. And I really do. I really stop and smell the roses nowadays. And so nature is magnificent, and we are, as physical form, magnificent beings. Absolutely, but perhaps there are imperfections, and that's okay too. Perhaps there are, and I obviously I'm not trying to be one of the people that excuses the rise of illnesses in childbirth, and that sort of thing, because for me a lot of that is a chemical toxication and damaging that way. So we are spoiling nature on purpose. I'm quite comfortable with that concept, but that there is imperfection built into the system, that ivy can overrun a forest and completely decimate it. But perhaps it's in that imperfection that then something new can rise. And maybe that's a segue into this system that we're party to, is that it's grossly oh, my battery's running low. It's grossly I'm just gonna get another battery. It's the system has got imperfections in it, but then that's going to give rise to people like you and me who go, fuck this, it's just not good enough. We want to do something about it, because I can assure you, my friends, that up until some time ago, I was like totally just going along with the stream. That was before I realized there was something. I don't want to wake my little boy. Hold on. Oh. That's a cute kid. That is perfection, But even, imperfect, he'll try and hit the dog with a stick. Then my dog will, squabble with a cat. And the lion will, munch on the other thing. So, this is kind of fun. It's nice of you to stop by and so on. I guess I'm just having a little ramble, and I haven't wanted to do too much of it. One, I've had my own stuff to work through, and two, you guys are all busy too. So, you only have so much time for my ramblings. Some people have more time than others, it's fair to say, but I'm not sure I could do an Owen Benjamin and do this every day. That takes some doing. I heard that he was on Jeranism, or rather I saw a thumbnail come up for that. Don't know if anyone saw that, but it's fascinating stuff going on. And I think it's inevitable that Flat Earth will become so well known and so, ridiculed and discovered. Remember, when you look at the yin-yang symbol, the majority of it is the black and the white. It's only the little line in between. That's the balance. So don't expect to be in a crowd of millions. I don't think. I'm not saying there won't be millions in the plains, but in your neighborhood, maybe not. And I think this is part of, I guess, a consideration for anyone is do your research, do your experiments, and do your canvassing and activism of this truth and these truths, but not at the expense of yourself if you can help it, or if that matters to you, that you don't forego or forget that you are the center of all of this, and staying in someone's camp. And I mean, just for example, someone who just sort of spent their entire existence as an activist, maybe that would be, to stay in the white zone too much rather than the balanced place. I hope that's useful. Yeah, I won't belabor this because there's things to do, and you've got things to do too. I hope to see some of you at the weekend on Sunday at Speaker's Corner. I can't spend too much time there. My daughter's birthday on Sunday, but I've got the feeling to be there, and I think the weather's going to be all right, so it's worth being there. It's part of, I think it's part of the important progression. It feels like that for me anyway. I don't mind talking longer. I'll share this with you. This is a weird thing. I don't mind talking longer, but I actually feel like it's your time that I'm using up, that I don't want to. I know you can put me on fast forward or switch it off. It's a wonderful life, but we can get lost here. Some people say that there's like a spirit thing, that if you don't fix it, if you don't get it right, then somehow you come back. But I don't know, we maybe have a tendency to personalize this journey too much, rather than collectivizing and realizing that we're adding something to a greater collective. I'm not saying that there's just one collective, it may be that there are multiple collectives working together, working in symbiosis towards some higher objective, universal objective, long-term, infinitely long-term objective. I'll share with you a little something. Doing some painting and decorating for a guy nearby, and I'm obviously trying to share some of this truth with him, and you got to let out the rope slowly. He's a Freemason, actually. but you gotta let out the rope slowly. And so I so I say, hey, I mean, I think we're talking about the pyramids. I think the pyramids could be what 100,000, because he was accepting that he accepts. Oh yeah, there's water erosion. Everyone knows about the Sphinx water erosion story, but he's got the BBC version of it, which is that it might be an extra 5,000 years old or something. I'm like, no, 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 that could easily be 20,000, even 100,000 years old. Now, the possibilities, it's possibly longer than that. Who knows? But he immediately said, no, 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 that's, the erosion of those rocks would not be, they'd be eroded away. Well, I didn't kind of want to, because you can end up annoying someone if you just keep pounding them with that information. But I thought afterwards, I was like, firstly, when you look at the pyramids up close, they are actually quite badly eroded, and damaged, but erosion from weathering. And there's very little water there for that kind of erosion. So those rocks would do quite well. But I thought I should show him that. Did you see the rock? I did a, a little video I called Billion Year Bollocks, which was a little video of a rock in a park not far from me. It's called the Millennium Rock, and they claim it's 2,000 million years old, which is 2 billion years old. And it's a rock that has stayed for 2 billion years, but on the other side of this, we'll say, oh no, the pyramids would have eroded in 100,000 years, which is what, 20,000 times less time than the 2 billion year mark. Is that right? If I've got my numbers right. So yeah, 20,000 times less. You see, this is the stuff that gets impregnated, like seeped into our kind of consciousness about, because you hear these same cognitive dissonant type responses all the time. So we must be given them somewhere along the way. In movies, probably a lot of it comes through in the films, in the Hollywood. Have you heard me say that Pinewood Studios, which is in England, which predates, as far as I know, Hollywood? Again, Pinewood being the pine cone, the pineal gland, and so on. So again, they were after the esoteric right from the get-go. Just so we're clear on that. There's this guy over the road was saying, oh, it was probably it's the Americans. We're in hock to the Americans. No, no, no. We follow the trail. It goes back to England, and then obviously maybe somewhere else. The Egyptians and the Italians and the Greeks. So so that was just an interesting aside. Yeah, I guess that's that. I was gonna end it, wasn't I? Sorry. Broadsword, hey mate. Haven't seen you around for a while. The royals and presidents are all trans. Oh, wives, yeah. Yeah, you see a lot of that, hey, now. Eleanor Roosevelt is a prime example. She certainly looks. And then Michael Obama. I told that to someone else, and they were like, no, that Obama had called Michelle Michael a couple of times. Well, I often call. Oh man, people just want to make excuses for this system. Whereas for me, like I was saying earlier on about the Spice Girl thing, it's like, okay, I don't need to have like a gynecological inspection of these women or boys, men. I don't need that. It's just there it is. It's an absolute possibility when I allow myself to look at those photos now with are they boys kind of thing, where you're not focused on the hair and the makeup and the fake titties and stuff like that. I said that on live. The breasts. You know, you can see that shit. That's very possible, and it would be very unlikely for a girl band of 5 girls to get together, and for all of them to have that retain that boyish sort of structure. One could say, well, they were on extremely strict diets. Well, I'd have to agree they would be on strict diets, because don't you see what happens to us boys when we get older? We fill out, you know, either muscular wise or we get that big old tummy. I was telling this guy about enema, by the way, so I should tell you again. If you haven't heard me say it, it's worth doing occasionally. You can do it yourself, do it at home, and the coffee enema is especially impressive. And you'll be surprised by the inhabitants of your lower nether regions. And I suggest it might be one of the important cleansing things that a person needs to do, but yeah, it's just me, you know. But the results are, for me anyway, the results are always mostly often like, okay, I'm glad I did that now. So I just offer that as a little bit of friendly health advice, because I think that your health is affected at least by that. You know, just having to manage the sludge, the sediment that could sit within your linings of your lower intestines for years and years. And all along, you need to manage that. Your body needs to kind of cope with that. You know, like sewage farm, that stuff. That's gonna cause health problems down the line. But there might be a higher value to it, in terms of, you know, in terms of really, if all of this stuff is true about the chakras and the light from the crown and so on, then you may find it in your best interest to find ways of making sure that that light is as bright as it can be, which includes, you know, a clean diet and a clean lifestyle and a clean body. You may not know this, but I was my favorite career in my lifetime was probably when I was in the gym business. And so when all of everything started to fall apart for me, when I was working, you know, came out of local government, I went and retrained as a fitness consultant. Like, took the government level 3 fitness qualifications on and stuff. So I've always had an interest in helping people with health. Makes me think that actually a guy I used to help in a gym in Johannesburg, he one of the most famous South African singers by the name of Johnny Clegg, died yesterday, 66 years old. Kind of like a hero of mine as a kid coming up. I have said lives or this, so I certainly can't step away from it. But, you know, it came as a surprise when I was doing all of this research into secret societies and hidden hand and so on, that he was not knighted. He was honored by the Queen for services to music. Now, I thought that he was an obscure South African artist. Anyway, I'm not going to talk bad about Johnny Clegg and his band Joluka or Savuka, as it became known. You know, the guy's passed on, but you got to wonder about what role, when you look at his connection to Nelson Mandela and, you know, the whole anti-apartheid movement and so on. What is his part in the staging, in the play? Again, no anger. Why be angry? Because that's what they want, by the way. That's the negative, I think. Be angry. Be pissed off that you've been lied to, that you've been deceived, that you've been duped. None of yesterday matters, brothers and sisters. You don't have that anymore. That's gone. That's your story. But what you do have is today, now, and that is what matters. And if they can hold you in that low vibration stuff, that lower chakra stuff, I think they achieve something And maybe you might feel like at the end of your time that you'd hoped to raise yourself from that. Just as a practical example, I guess this old lady up the road we spend time nourishing, or trying to provide some succor to. And she called me yesterday. I'm not exaggerating when I say she called me 11 or 12 times yesterday. I'm not exaggerating. I didn't hear her because I was sanding for a lot of the time when she was trying to call me, so I didn't know my phone was ringing. But she is so desperately unhappy and so desperately 84 years old and is going to die a very frightened and unhappy human. So just on a practical level, if she'd had the opportunity to resolve some of those things that are, when you spend time with her, you'll realize that, there are things that she could have addressed herself in her lifetime that would have made this a much more pleasant time. And, she's fairly vivacious for an 84-year-old lady, All things being equal, she could have found herself another fella to go. She likes doing the waltz and the ballroom dancing. She could have done more of that. She could have got creative with some of her wonderful artistic skills that are evident from her youth. As a child, a teenager, and a young woman in her 20s, she was crewing for her father on one of these little fast boats that they would sail all around Europe. Now it's just frightful for her. Some will say that energy will get recycled and come back in somehow, and maybe that's what happens. I'd like to think that if we're one collective, then she's adding something to the negative pot. And some say that we're over negative, which is why you get a correction. Shuffle. And then you get like a positive or something, Maybe that's what happens. Who knows? I'm speculating here. But what feels absolutely right to me is to try and find that middle way. I've come through a system that has, taught me to be violent through sports and rugby and army training and warfare and capitalism. Ruthless capitalism is pretty violent, actually. I'm not criticizing, I'm just saying it. What it is that. And with the temptations of a brand new car or 3 really nice holidays and some fancy clothing, would I forget, walk over someone else or be part of something like that? I think we're challenged to come here and set that all aside and find our own way. Is that useful? I hope that's useful, my friends. I am just I'm out of weed at the moment. I think maybe that's why. Oh, it's a beautiful life, and I think, we must be the catalyst for that. I want to say enlightenment. Relight my fire. You know that song? Relight my fire, 'cause I need your love. And it is all about love. Finding love in a place that wants you to hate. That's it. Finding love in a place that wants you to hate. But it starts within. It starts within. You got to love yourself. And if you find that love first, and there's a million reasons for us not to love ourselves. But I think that's why it suggests in the Bible and other books, good books, that you do good work. Because in doing that good work, then you feel like a better being. And that doesn't mean you quit your job as a banker necessarily yet this week. But you take a few hours of the weekend to do something good. That's why I feel good enough to thoughts, because I did something good this weekend. And the last weekend, thanks to Harry, the John Smith Globeliner story coming down to stay with me for a week. I got that great opportunity to get out there and loosen the larynx and do something good, because I feel like I'm having an effect. Small, modest, whatever. But I'm having an effect enough to make me feel good. Whether it's that I'm helping the old lady up the road, being good to my wife and my children, being an honorable man, much as I can be. And like yesterday, we went to Crystal Palace Park again for a little picnic after work. And so I'm strolling about afterwards and having like for a few people, I went up to this Jamaican dude and told him some stuff, and just two young girls who were giggling their way. I was wearing this Flat Power t-shirt, actually. You may not know this, I made these t-shirts up with the help of my son last year for the conference in the UK at Birmingham. Where was it? Birmingham. And I sold some, but I didn't sell them all. So if you're ever interested in one of these t-shirts, I guess you could hit me up with an email at trinityforman@gmail.com, I think. Not that it's neither here nor there to me. I'd love to get rid of them. I've still got I only got a consignment of 50, and I've probably got about 20 of them left, I suppose, and they're not all the sizes. So Yeah. Oh, what was I saying? Oh yeah, I just going around spreading some good feelings to some people, rather than the miserable. Like you could be driving down the road and pulling birds at people and being angry and stuff like that. And my friend, the Flat Earth Fokker, Mac, I don't know that he'd be listening to this, but he's going through a little bit of a kind of, what the fuck is it all about kind of thing. I think that's what he's going through. But I think with him having his car logoed up with the earth is flat and stuff, he's constantly a target. And like I saw with the boys on the Globeliner tour last year, really I was up close with that, hey, and I got to see how much, and of course I was in the field a few days myself, I think 5, but I was just trying to remember if it was 5. I don't want to exaggerate my involvement, but you may not know that the guys came and spent a night at my house as well during the tour, and so I saw how much that drains you. Let's just say you're a battery and you are just exposed to a negative force all day long, then you are going to be burnt out, and it needs to be balanced with something positive. So I think my friend Mac might be feeling a little bit like, you're always on guard, I can't be that. I can't always be like expecting people to be angry with me. I don't mind doing it every now and again at Speaker's Corner or somewhere, you know, you can actually. Actually, here's something now that I think about it, and I want to say it like this, because Roxanne came up in a conversation with those two Muslim dudes that I was chatting to at some point, and and the guy says, "Oh, I remember Roxanne when she first came here. She was so angry. You know, the first thing I asked her, she like bit my head off basically, and but you know, as the months went by, so the message softened and improved and so on. And I think as we go forward with this activism thing, we can learn to be doing it in a way that's loving, you know, in a way that is far softer, in a way that's less confrontational. I'm not saying it's not ever going to be confrontational, of course, because you know, you get people come at you out of nowhere. So I was just reading a message again. Um, yeah, I'm just saying it could be more. We're getting better, and actually, it can be a more loving, or more, like some of the people who stand on the street, like the Jehovah's Witnesses. Pardon me. They, helps it that there's two or three of them, I suppose. What does it say in the Bible? When there's two or three gathered in my name, I'll be there. Maybe when there's two or three flat earthers gathered in, it'll be good. Anyway, to me, there's a trajectory, and what that guy was saying about Roxanne mirrors my own journey. Going from table bangingly fucking pissed off to you've got to hear this, you've got to hear this, you've got to hear this. My whole family and everyone I knew and cared about or care about had to hear it, and had to face up to it. And now I realize that that's not how it is. That's not how it has to be. It is, as I said earlier, a yin yang. There is a positive and there is a negative, and the majority of the yin yang symbol is concentrated with those two energies, not the balanced center. Isn't that a beautiful thing? Isn't that a beautiful thing? Imagine that. Imagine that's right. That all you need to know is that there's a balance to be had. Get your chip off your shoulder. Get your anger out of your system. I'm not advocating for the hiding in the cave. Of course I'm not. Here I am, standing in the street, taking up time that I could be with my baby boy, who, like I said earlier, if you heard the beginning of the stream, I think he is used to having me around for good portions of the day, but I'm engaged in a full-on painting and decorating assignment, which is all day long. Early till late, and that's really outside of his routine. And then I'll go and spend 5 hours and plus travel time in Speaker's Corner. I'm not looking for a naughty badge. Why am I telling you that? But because I'm not saying to go and sit in a cave. I'm not saying to go and ashram this away, as you've heard me say before, possibly. But we can't ashram this away. We have to do this, and people have to choose their thing, and their thing is black or white or in between. The majority want to choose. You walk around the Speaker's Corner. That sounds funny, doesn't it? Walk around around the Speaker's Corner. Or, you walk around at Speaker's Corner, and the groups there are rock solid, and their faith is unshakable, and their particular nuance on their belief system is the one. They're these fearless Christians. If you watched the first section, I think of that, I did interview one of the fearless Christians briefly. They hate the Muslims. These two white dudes, they're like skinhead Christians. And that's it. They're on their patch and they have their belief and it's not to be shaken. So you come with me, come walk with me, and you tell me whether those people you can talk to about this change. You throw the pills out there, you offer them this information and you leave it like that. Because actually, if I was to stand in their group and say, you fools, and I'm not referring to the fearless Christians, just any of them, you lads, you men are completely deceived. Pick any group you like, any group that you don't like, pick them. You are deceived. All of it is a deception, and all of your entire belief that your grandparents gave your parents is a deception. How much traction are you going to have like that? There is another way of communicating this to people. Of course, they need to know that the earth is flat. Don't get me wrong. This is not about stepping away from that truth. I keep saying this, you have to know you're playing basketball on a level pitch. David Beckham is playing on a ball perhaps, but we are playing on a level pitch. And everyone's paradigm needs to be on that basis. If you saw me do truth talks with Cosmic Cat, beginning of last year, end of last year, we had our first speaker was a lady called Cassie Crowhurst, and she wasn't on the flat and on the level. And I'd said before, we really need to make sure that people are on the level, because if they're not on the level, then their whole paradigm is misshapen. It's like a transgender singer in the Spice Girls. You got to see it for what it is, and then you can decide whether you want to listen. But I'm not knocking Cassie, just simply to say that she was coming at the world from a baller's perspective, and it makes a huge difference. So the point is that people need to hear this. But if they don't want to drop their ball, and even if they don't want to drop their religion, I've met a guy, Pal, call him Pal Wasim, and a few others actually. Was it Rodrigo? I forget the guy's name. Roberto or something. The guy from Eritrea that I spoke to. Really nice guy. He was one of the first people that kind of got, yeah, flat earth at the speaker's corner. Shit, why was I saying that? Well, many of them will want to stick with their Islam. And of course, we have a sizable contingent of folks who want to stick with their Christianity. And that, it seems to me, is part of the yin yang. Is that there's still people who will have to stay in a group, a chosen group, a special interest group, despite knowing that the earth is flat and that everything has been pull you out of your seat, to pull you left or right of the path, of that little middle way between the yin and the yang. Yeah, so, and that's no foul. That's really no foul. I don't consider that to be a failure or a loss. I don't. Because it's not necessary for us all to be middle. But I think if you're still choosing a kind of banner, onward Christian soldiers marching as to war, with the cross of Jesus going as before, right? That's something I learned back in the day, and you know that's a choice, but that's a yin or a yang. It is, and I say that with love. I don't have a again. I don't have a kind of an axe to grind with that. I don't think I have an axe to grind with that. I realize that people must choose what they must choose, and the end will be what it will be. But I really don't think, and I'm not trying to be offensive, I don't think that it's the middle way to be a flat earther that chooses. I don't think that's the middle way. But it's okay too. That's not about saying that it's not a criticism of that, not at all. It's a realization that that's essential. It's like that part of the energy system. But once we know that, as a Muslim or a Christian thinker, you can harmonize with your brother across the aisle and with those that are in between the aisle very easily. I say that, and then Hebrew Israelite comes to mind. And I know that I'm picking on HIs, but I think that they, for me in my mind, simply represent the kind of dichotomy that still exists. Did you see? I filmed a little bit of the. I remembered their name the other day, and I was like, oh, I remember their name, but now it's gone from me. Something of Islam. Brothers of Islam, no? Like a very black, kind of staunch, like almost military outfit. Islamic Brotherhood, no. It's gone for now. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The point. Super, honey. You guys have got 5 minutes, so then I'm going for dinner. So, Nation of Islam. Nation of Islam, I think that's what they are. Very nicely dressed and, very severe looking soldiers standing in front of the speaker, about half a dozen of them, staring people down and stuff like that, or maybe just felt like they were staring me down. So people are gonna have to stay in there. People are gonna do that, but I think there's a lot of room. There's a lot of room, surely, for us to make. And if, okay, I don't want to get too kind of carried away here, but if there is a people that are meant to walk the middle path, and I happen to be, or you happen to be one of those people that are meant to walk the middle path, then the middle path serves as like the kind of conduit. Not insulator, I don't think that's the right word, but conduit, or the connector between the yin and the yang. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I do. I wanted to be of service to you, my friend, brother or sister, yinner or yanger, or in betweener. And again, I don't think it's not a freaking competition. You need, in a boat, a rowing boat, you need a dude who's going to be at the scull or whatever. You're going to need like I did tug of war in the army, and you definitely need like that big lump at the back, and then you need someone who's like technical and small at the front, who can do twisty things. You'd be surprised what they do with a tug of war. A rugby team or a football team or whatever, you need different skills. You need different players. So let's not maybe get hung up on that. But I have to say, for me, it feels like I have to extricate myself from the fight. I want to stand there in the trenches, or I want to be there and doing my bit on the the public speaking side of things, or the, in the street. The chalk work, that works really well. Please let me encourage you, re-encourage you to go and get yourself a bunch of that big fat chalk, and 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 do some where you can. We're meant to wake people up. Whatever you think of Mark Sargent and Patricia Steer, I think, and all the others, I think we have to be woken up. So we owe them a little kind of pat on the back and go, cheers, mate. Actually, you know, we have to have this. Whatever, whoever's paying them, if they're being paid, whoever's whatever's behind it, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. It's just the journey that we're on, and we need to be willing. No, we don't need to. I encourage that we are not sucked in to the show, but rather, we show people the way. Whether that be yin or yang, whether that be a middle way. I hope that makes sense. Really, I hope that makes sense. I'm grateful for people stopping by, and is that Zoom truth, David? Thank you so much for sharing my streams of late, my stuff from thing. I really appreciate that, brother, because I keep meaning to remind people to do that, because I don't think it's a big imposition for people to share it if they're keen to kind of get the word out. And for me, it's about getting the word out about activism, getting the word out about, and I'm sure it's the same for you. It's about encouraging, stimulating, because people said that to me actually in person on the street, that it's actually inspirational to them to kind of do this, which is because I was inspired by, Harry and Josh and others to do it, because of what I saw them doing. So heck, this is what we want to do. We want to share this and get people talking about it. No matter who's steering it, we do. But at the same time, I want to, use my little platform to say, let's not be just all we do is fight, or be in like the Max situation where he's constantly a target. Much respect to the man for doing what he's done. But Dave, I hope if you're doing a house move, or whatever you're doing, I haven't been able to catch any of your work or seen any of your work lately, to be honest. So I hope you're good. And actually, I mentioned you in Speaker's Corner the other day, just to a New Yorker, I think. And I mentioned Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. Um, Even though he might apparently be a shill, not a shill, a paid guy. Again, what the fuck does it matter? What does it matter? You're here to grow. You're not here to fight this up change, or you may be. What? It's not for me to say. Not for me to say. Oh, you'll buy some chalk. Yes, my friend. I did get told off by the police on that Speaker's Corner. I think they were being a little punctilious, if you don't mind me saying, Steve, if you ever get to hear this. I became friendly with Steve, who's the head boy at police headquarters down at Speaker's Corner. He's about 8 foot tall, and he he can see like the whole of Speaker's Corner, just as he's got like one of those extender necks, and he can just see the whole thing. So I said I wouldn't do any more chalking there. I did quite a lot of chalking on the way home, though, because I felt like I had all this chalk that he'd stopped me from using. So I found many other places to chalk on the way home on Sunday. I didn't film them or whatever, I'm tired of that. But do the chalk, brother.
It's ready.
Okay, sweetheart. I'm good, but I'm depressed and not going out. You are so honest. You're one of the most honest people I know. I love that about you, my friend. Well, I'm sending you, love and good feelings and stuff like that, and encouragement. You've encouraged a lot of people, and I know obviously I don't know how the people find a thing has gone and so on, but that was a great piece of work, and but met someone from that, and well, I can't really give you much feedback on that. However, I do think that you'll continue doing great work. You, whatever, when you sort out your house thing and someone, I've needed a little bit of time out, to be honest. I'm not saying I won't need more time out in the future. I'm not saying, oh, this all buttoned down. Okay, don't get me wrong. But I know that I've had like doldrums that I've worked through. And you've been a very like passionate flat earth proponent. And maybe that's always your path. But I think perhaps a bit like me, you're going to kind of mature in a way, or mature that message, mature your message, and it will hopefully become less exhausting to you emotionally, because actually I'm trying to have more fun with it rather than be so, I haven't got there yet, but you can tell in the tone of voice, because I heard my tone of voice as I was talking on Sunday. It's like it's slightly an octave up because there's that tension, right? Well, you're like 2 or 3 octaves up from your normal voice when you're out there doing that. Hey, Dave. So maybe not most recently, but in my kind of over the last year. And I think when we get to a point where we're almost having a conversation with people, and sometimes that's what I'm having in Speakers Corner now. I remember talking to a lady this last time, or perhaps also the time before, where it was like, I'm just having a conversation with you. In fact, there was quite a few now I think about it. Just it's becoming more of a conversation rather than, whoa, you gotta believe this. If la 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 la, and it's so bad. And anyway, I have to I want to finish reading what you were saying, Dave. It's so effed up, very confusing. Don't want to be fooled again. I think that, yeah. I mean, I don't know if you heard how long you've been in my chat, brother. I think I've seen your logo in for a while, but I wasn't really focusing on that day. But I was saying earlier that it may be the case that we're playing someone else's role. We're playing a role that was predetermined for us. But that is the nature of this thing. And for me, the truth is that I think the flat Earth comes out, whether it's you or anyone else that does you know, the promotion of it. I think it comes out. Whether people go for it or not is another discussion altogether. However, it comes out. For me, it's like, okay, it's going to come out whether I go and hide in a cave or not. Go and stand on the speaker's corner. So how do I use my voice? Is it going to just be to barrack at people and just be like super angry? Or is it going to be, hey, this is coming out and there's some other good news. Once you get over the crazy news, there's good news, and that's, I think we're a guy like you, given how right on the front bleeding edge of all of this you are. A guy like you is going to be perhaps one of those people because you're a bit like me in that you've kind of come out of your shell in a way, or life has a real purpose, or has a real purpose to it now because of this, and it's to bring that real purpose to life, which goes beyond it's just simply the game board is flat. It goes beyond that, and it is to find that kind of to find those people that are the higher the middle way. So I'm coming, my love. Oh yeah, but hey, you know what? Only if you're going out, and that's all. I think that's all. Eventually that will change, but in a way, my brother, we need to be patient because we have this kind of like man-made timetable, stuff like that. What you don't want to do, any of you don't want to do, is to exhaust yourself on the things. If you heard me saying this, you exhaust yourself. Like Mac may be exhausted because people are fucking flying at him the whole time as he drives down the road. Oh, you fucking idiot. That's hard, man. You can't have it all the time. So, be taking care of yourself, brother. You're talking about, you're exactly the guy kind of thing. You're moving house, your whole life is going to be thrown upside down. So have you got time for yourself? Have you, are you taking time out? Because the people finder and all of this sort of shit, this becomes your crazy, right? And I mean, me, I've got a little boy and a wife who's going through her own changes and learning stuff and so on, and two other children who are going, university, etc., 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 final exams, blah, blah, blah. I've got all this shit, and possibly moving house myself. So, it's like making sure that you still have that time for you, bro. That's what you need. Take time for you. This thing is gonna unfold, and you will have your part to play, and you can do your thing. You are an inspiration and a role model of a sort to those that are going to come down the line, for sure. And we must think about that, and what is our, each of us who are now in 2019 talking on whatever platform that might be, we should be considering how we represent ourselves to ourselves, and then after that to others. I really hope that's useful. And this has been useful. I thank you for coming by, and I look forward to seeing you soon.